Welcome to Mayhem CDH, where questionable decks meet questionable pilots. For this week, CanLander is back with a close matchup with multiple mechanics the players forced me to keep track of. Thank you, Day Night. Thank you, Initiative. With that being said, let's check out the pod today. First, we have Tanner on Mono Green Stompy, a classic archetype that seeks to quickly land strong creatures and win with beatdown. And Cody on Rug Midrange, a midrange deck that seeks to counter pivotal spells, take control of tempo, and win with overflowing value. And now, with each pilot in their respective corner of the screen, let us begin. And for those of you in the Ames area, stick around to find out how you can get 10% off your next Mayhem Ames purchase. Cody plays a Hinterland Harbor tapped and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Forest, an Elvish Mystic, and passes. Cody draws, plays a Botanical Sanctum, and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Castle Garenbrig, and casts Mana Gorger Hydra. In response, Cody casts Lose Focus, countering Mana Gorger. Tanner passes. Cody draws, plays an Island, and passes. Tanner draws and plays a Forest. He follows it up with Essica's Chariot. In response, Cody casts Counterspell, countering Chariot. At the end of Tanner's turn, Cody casts Thought Scour, targeting himself, milling 2 and drawing a card. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws and plays Brainstorm, drawing 3 and putting 2 back on top. He plays a Scalding Tarn and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Karakas, and casts Thrun, the Last Troll. At the end of Tanner's turn, Cody cracks his Scalding Tarn, banging a life and fetching up a Ketria Triome onto the battlefield tapped. Still at end step, Cody casts Growth Spiral, drawing a card and putting his Stomping Grounds onto the battlefield tapped. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws and casts Stomp, destroying Elvish Mystic. He follows it up by casting Bonecrusher Giant from exile, plays a Misty Rainforest, and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Tectonic Edge, and casts Vorinclex, Monstrous Raider. He moves to combat and attacks Cody with Thrun and Vorinclex. Cody trades Bonecrusher with Thrun and takes the rest. At the end of turn, Cody cracks his Misty Rainforest, paying a life and fetching up a Tropical Island onto the battlefield. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws and plays Oko, Thief of Crowns, and upticks him, Elkifying Vorinclex. He follows it up with Chain Lightning, destroying Vorinclex. Cody passes. Tanner draws and plays a Voracious Hydra, where X equals 4 and chooses to double its counters when it enters. Tanner passes. Cody draws, plays a Ledger Shredder, and upticks Oko, creating a food token. Cody passes. Tanner draws and casts Inscription of Abundance, kicked, putting 2 +1/+1 counters on Voracious Hydra, gaining 10 life, and fighting Ledger Shredder with Voracious Hydra. He moves to combat and attacks Oko with Hydra. Oko is destroyed, and at the end of turn, Cody cracks his food, gaining 3 life. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws, plays Waterlogged Grove, immediately cracks it, drawing a card, and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Forest, and moves to combat, attacking Cody with the Hydra. Cody takes the hit, and in his second main phase...
Now I go 4. Take the initiative. Just to add it to something that Jack has to do.
Tanner plays Undermountain Adventurer, taking the initiative when it enters, venturing into Secret Entrance, fetching up a Forest into his hand. At the end of turn, Cody delves away some of his graveyard to cast Magmatic Sinkhole, destroying Undermountain Adventurer. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws, sees the writing on the wall, and Tanner wins the game. Cody plays a Lumbering Falls tapped and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Forest, a Mox Emerald, a Chrome Mox imprinting Mana Gorger Hydra when it enters, and a Jewel Thief creating a treasure token when it enters. With a blazing turn 1, Tanner passes. Cody draws, plays a Mountain, and passes. Tanner draws and plays a Tireless Tracker. He follows it up with a Ghost Quarter. Tracker triggers, and in response, Cody casts Lightning Bolt, destroying Tracker. Tanner investigates and moves to combat, attacking Cody with Jewel Thief. Cody takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Tanner casts Stonecoil Serpent, where X equals 2. At the end of turn, Cody casts Opt, looking at and drawing the top card of his library. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws and puts a Stomping Ground into play untapped, paying 2 life. He follows it up with a Young Pyromancer and a Forked Bolt, creating an elemental through Pyro, destroying Stonecoil Serpent. Cody passes. Tanner draws and plays Garrick, Unleashed, upticking him and giving Jewel Thief +3/+3 and Trample. He moves to combat and attacks Cody with Jewel Thief. Cody takes the hit, and Tanner passes. Cody draws and plays Expressive Iteration, creating an elemental through Pyro, looking at the top 3, putting 1 into his hand, 1 onto the bottom of his library, and exiles Volcanic Island. He plays Volcanic Island, a Dreadhorde Arcanist, and passes. Tanner draws and downtakes Garrick, creating a 3/3 beast token, putting a loyalty counter on Garrick. He plays a Mishra's Factory, and moves to combat, attacking Cody with Jewel Thief. Cody takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Tanner plays an Outland Liberator, becoming Day when it enters, and passes.
Day and night.
Day and night. I toss a turn, I see one.
Cody draws, plays a Polluted Delta, and casts the Royal Scions, upticking them, giving Dreadhorde Arcanist +2/+0, First Strike, and Trample. He moves to combat and attacks Garrick with Arcanist, recasting Lightning Bolt, creating Elemental through Pyro, destroying Jewel Thief. Tanner animates Mistress Factory, blocks Arcanist with it, and before damage, floats mana and cracks his clue, drawing a card. Factory is destroyed, Garrick takes the hit, and Cody passes. Tanner draws, upticks Garrick, giving the Beast token +3/+3 and Trample, and moves to combat, attacking Cody with the Beast. Cody chumps with 2 elementals, and in his second main phase, Tanner plays and immediately cracks a Nurturing Peatland, drawing a card. At the end of turn, Cody cracks his Polluted Delta, paying a life and fetching up a Ketria Triome onto the battlefield tapped. Day turns to night, Outland Liberator transforms into Frenzied Trapbreaker, and the turn moves to Cody. Cody draws and upticks the Royal Scions, giving Arcanist +2/+0, First Strike, and Trample. Moves to combat and attacks Garrick with Arcanist, recasting Forked Bolt, creating Elemental through Pyro, dealing 2 to Garrick. Garrick is destroyed, and in his second main phase, Cody casts Abundant Harvest, creating Elemental through Pyro, naming non-land. He flips Remand off the top into his hand, night turns to day, transforming Frenzied Trapbreaker, and Cody passes. Tanner draws and mutates Gem Razor onto his Beast token, moves to combat, and attacks Cody with everything. In response, Cody delves away some of his graveyard to cast Magmatic Sinkhole, creating an Elemental through Pyro, targeting the Beast. In response, Tanner casts Blossoming Defense, targeting the Beast. In response, Cody casts Negate, creating Elemental token through Pyro. Blossoming Defense is countered, the Beast token is destroyed, Cody trades Liberator with 2 elementals, and Tanner passes. Cody draws and upticks the Royal Scions, giving Arcanist +2/+0, First Strike, and Trample. He moves to combat and attacks Tanner with everything. Tanner takes the hit, day becomes night, and Cody passes. Tanner draws, plays a Windswept Heath, and cracks it, paying a life, fetching up a Forest. He follows it up with a Finale of Devastation where X equals 3. In response, Cody casts Force of Negation, countering and exiling Finale. Out of options, Tanner sees the writing on the wall, and Cody wins the game. Tanner plays a Kazandu Valley tapped and passes. Cody draws, plays a Scalding Tarn, and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Mox Diamond, discarding a land as it enters, a Windswept Heath, and cracks it, paying a life, fetching up a Bayou onto the battlefield. He plays a Briarbridge Tracker, investigating when it enters. At the end of turn, Cody cracks his Scalding Tarn, paying a life and fetching up a Ketria Triome onto the battlefield. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws, plays an island, and passes. Tanner draws and moves to combat, attacking Cody with Tracker. Cody takes the hit, and at the end of turn, he casts Growth Spiral, drawing a card and putting a Botanical Sanctum onto the battlefield. Still at end step, Cody casts Mental Note, milling 2 and drawing a card. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws, plays an island, and casts True Name Nemesis, choosing Tanner when it enters. At the end of turn, Tanner flashes in Endurance, putting Cody's graveyard onto the bottom of his library. The turn moves to Tanner. Tanner draws, plays Deathrite Shaman, and an Outland Liberator, once again making it day when it enters.
Day and night.
Day and night.
Tanner passes. Cody draws and casts Flame Slash, destroying Endurance. He follows it up by evoking Fury, exiling a Braid, destroying Deathrite Shaman and Outland Liberator, and sacrificing itself when it enters. He puts a Lumbering Falls into play tapped and passes. Tanner draws, plays Cemetery Prowler, exiling Fury when it enters, and passes. Cody draws, plays Unlicensed Hearse, and passes. Tanner draws and moves to combat, attacking Cody with Prowler, targeting Flame Slash when it attacks. In response, Cody activates Unlicensed Hearse, exiling Flame Slash first. He blocks Prowler with True Name, and in his second main phase, Tanner casts Noble Hierarch and passes. Cody draws and plays Jace, the Mind Sculptor, down-taking him, bouncing Prowler to Tanner's hand, and passing. Tanner draws and moves to combat, attacking Cody with Tracker. Cody blocks with True Name, and in his second main phase, Tanner recasts Cemetery Prowler, targeting Endurance when it enters. In response, Cody activates Hearse, exiling Endurance and Deathrite Shaman first. Prowler's effect fizzles, and Tanner passes. Cody draws and activates Jace, drawing 3 and putting 2 back on top. He plays Hexdrinker, Prismatic Vista, and cracks Vista, paying a life, fetching up a Forest on the battlefield. He levels up Hexdrinker 3 times and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Rashad Port, a Froghemoth, and moves to combat, attacking Cody with Tracker, Prowler, and Froghemoth, exiling Prismatic Vista with Prowler. Cody crews Hearse with True Name and blocks Froghemoth with Hearse, Prowler with Hexdrinker, and before damage activates Hearse, exiling Outland Liberator and Boseiju, who shelters all from Tanner's graveyard. Froghemoth and Prowler are destroyed, and Tanner passes. Cody draws and activates Jace, drawing 3 and putting 2 back on top. He plays a Polluted Delta and passes. Tanner draws, plays a Mystery Rainforest, and moves to combat, attacking Cody with Tracker. Cody blocks with True Name, day becomes night, and at the end of turn, Cody cracks his Polluted Delta, paying a life, fetching up a Volcanic Island onto the battlefield. Still at end step, he delves some of his graveyard to cast Dig Through Time, looking at the top 7, putting 2 into his hand, and the rest on the bottom. The turn moves to Cody. Cody draws, plays a Waterlogged Grove, and casts Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. gaining 3 life, drawing a card, putting a Spire Bluff Canal into play tapped, crews Hearse in response to the sacrifice trigger, and sacrifices Uro, all when it enters. He moves to combat and attacks Tanner with Hearse. Tanner chumps with Hierarch and before damage, floats mana and cracks his clue, drawing a card. Hierarch is destroyed, and in his second main phase, Cody activates Jace, drawing 3 and putting 2 back on top. He follows it up with the Royal Scions, upticking them, drawing and discarding a card, and levels up Hexdrinker. At the end of turn, Tanner cracks his Misty Rainforest, paying a life. In response, Cody casts Mental Note, milling 2 and drawing a card. Tanner fetches up a forest onto the battlefield, and Cody passes. Tanner draws, plays a forest, a Hexdrinker, levels up Hexdrinker 3 times, and passes. Cody draws, uptakes the Royal Scions, giving Hexdrinker +2/+0, First Strike and Trample, and downtakes Jace, returning Tanner's Hexdrinker to his hand. He follows it up by exiling 5 cards from his graveyard to escape Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, drawing a card, gaining 3 life, and putting a Windswept Heath onto the battlefield when it enters. He crews Hearse with Uro, levels up Hexdrinker 3 times, and moves to combat, attacking Tanner with Hearse, Hexdrinker, and True Name. Tanner blocks with Tracker and casts Inscription of Abundance, targeting Tracker. In response, Cody casts Miscalculation, countering Inscription.
Yeah, you got it.
Let's go! Poggy Woggy! Poggy Woggy!
With exact damage coming at him, Tanner sees the writing on the wall, and Cody wins the match. For those of you in the Ames area who stuck around, come to Mayhem Comics in Ames this week and ask for the YouTube discount. You'll be asked the question, who won? Answer correctly and get 10% off your purchase. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to catch future videos, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.